Welcome back, Egyptology lovers. Today we are now continuing plate 23. So we finished off with plate 22, and now we're entering plate 23. And this is a combination of plate 23 and 24. This is a repeat from earlier chapters. So let me explain what's going on here. On the right edge of this plate 23 appears one leaf of a large yellow door. Right over here, if you can see that right there. Right there. Which actually has swung open so as to reveal what is inside. We are in effect passing into chapter 18, which appears for a second time in this papyrus on plate 23 and 24. A more successful representation of the revealing doorway motif appears on plate 30 and 31 in connection with chapter 125. Ani is showing kneeling in adoration before a long row of seated deities who face him. In the version found on plates 12 and 14, identical if you go back to 12 and 14, chapter 18 was introduced by two priests making an invocation before two portals. The scene does not appear in the version found here, nor does Tutu appear with her husband. Also, there are slight differences in the number or order of the gods shown, as well as in the manner in which the deities are depicted. None of these differences is significant, however. Unlike the previous versions of this chapter, the text and the accompanying illustrations are presented separately and continuously. So this is this particular plate right now. So we're going to go ahead and read it. Starting from retrograde, we're going to read again left to right, which is pretty standard retrograde. Moving towards the west is the only explanation of why it's happening. And we'll start right over here. Okay, now we're starting right here. As for the Great Council, which is in 𝓄𝓈�𝓇𝓌 or Heliopolis, it is this Atum, this Shu, this Tefnut. Remember, Atum created himself, and then he created Shu and Tefnut. And now continuing down here. As to the guarding, which continues here, guarding of the rebels, it means the destruction of the gang of Set, which continues here, Set, or this Set. So the evil Set. When he repeated the offenses. O Thoth, or Jehuti, who vindicated Osiris against his, coming back here, enemies, who vindicated the Osiris scribe Ani, vindicated before Osiris. Continuing up here, against his enemies in the Great Council, which is in Jeddu or Besuris. On that night of erecting the pillar, which is in Jeddu or Besuris. As to the Great Council, which is in Jeddu or Besuris, it is this Osiris, this Isis, this Nephthys, and this Horus. So they are the continuation after Tefnut and Shu. Then Tefnut and Shu created Osiris, Isis, Nephthys, and then Set, of course. And then between Isis and Osiris, they created Horus. Protector of the Father. Continuing, as to the erecting of the jet pillar, which is in Besuris or Jeddu, it is this shoulder of Horus, the preeminent of Leontopoulos, which is actually Menchem. This is EU. We don't pronounce it. It defines a new sentence. They were behind Osiris in binding him with cloth. O Thoth, who vindicated Osiris against, continuing here, his enemies, who vindicated the Osiris scribe Ani, vindicated against his enemies in the Great Council, which is in, here's the word again, Leontopoulos, which is Menchem. On the night of the evening meal, which is in 𝓄𓈖𓇌𝓼 again, Minchem. Continuing here now. As for the great council, which is in 𝓄𝓈𝓇𝓼, Minchem, they are Horus, foremost without eyes, this Thoth, who is in the council of Naref. As for that night of the evening meal, continuing up here now, it is this dawn, these two are together, the word, the dawn, at the burial of Osiris. O Thoth, who vindicated Osiris against his enemies, who vindicated the Osiris scribe Ani, vindicated in peace against his enemies, in the great council which is in Pe and Dep. On that night of erecting the snake shrine of Horus, which was erected for him from an inheritance from the property of his father Osiris. As for the great council which is in Pe and Dep, it is this Horus, this Isis, this Imseti, this Happy. Continuing up here. As for the erecting of the snake shrine of Horus, this Set had spoken or said to his entourage, erect a snake shrine for him. O Thoth, who vindicated Osiris against his enemies, who vindicated the Osiris scribe Ani, vindicated before the gods against his enemies in the great council, which is in the banks of the washermen. On that night of Isis spending the night awake and mourning over her brother Osiris. So when Osiris had died due to Set killing him, she mourned over him. Let's continue. As for the great council which is in the washermen, it is this Isis, this Horus, this Imseti. O Thoth, who vindicated the Osiris or Osiris against his enemies, and who vindicated the Osiris scribe Ani, vindicated in peace against his enemies in the great council which is in Abju or Abydos on that night of the Haker festival, when the dead are counted and the blessed spirits are chosen, and in dancing happening in Thinis. As to the great council which is in Abju, it is this Osiris, this Isis, this Wepwaret. O Thoth, who vindicated Osiris against his enemies, who vindicated Osiris, the scribe, Ani, vindicated against his enemies in the council, who judge the dead on that night of making accounting of their dead. As for the great council which is in the judging of the dead, it is this Thoth, this Osiris, this Inpu, and this Ides, or Easton. As for the accounting of the dead, or their dead, It means that these offerings were shut off from the souls of the children of weakness. O Thoth, who vindicated Osiris against his enemies, who vindicated the Osiris Ani against his enemies in the great council, which are at the hacking of the earth of Besuris or Jadu. On that night of hacking up the earth with their blood, and who vindicated the Osiris against, continuing here, his, back here, enemies. All right, let's continue here. As for the council or the great council, which is in the hacking up of the earth in Jadu or Besuris, it means the arrival of the gang of Set or this Set when they made their misfortune as goats, when they, continues here, erected sacrifice in the presence of these gods, and the blood which was dropped from them, they had captured, which is here, captured it, and given to those who were counted among the ones in Jadu or Besuris. Well, that completes plate 23. 24 is a continuation of plate 23, so we'll go ahead and do that, and that should complete the two combination plates together. So thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoy. Please like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram, which is my popular page, TikTok, which is new, Facebook, and Tumblr. Thank you.